So in this chapter, we're going to talk about head construction and proportions. We're going to explore in a different view of the head, and also I will show you the some key landmarks and rhythm and gesture within the construction of the head, and also the planar breaks down, so we can see a different planes on the head will help you to visualize the head in different, if you want to draw imaginary heads, will help you to do that. So let's get started. So I start, not for quick sketch, I start a head with an oval shape like this. And next thing I want to do, I want to make sure to put the center lines, so that helps to kind of gauge the head. So we will know is the head is facing vertically or the head's tilting, and then we need that center line also to give symmetry, to the head. And I think what I wanted to do is on the upper part of the upper half of the head, usually a little more abstract in terms of what that means you have a hair shape goes over, and the hair sometimes can get very, the hairdo can get, or something can get all over the place. So most of the structure is going to be the bottom half of the head, which is the jaw bones, the chin. So what next thing I would do is that I will start carving some straight lines to to give some ground to the head. So in this case, you can see it doesn't feel so, doesn't have that roundness, the anime, the cartoon, feel of the head. You give some, it helps start giving some structures, to the head. And this is that cheek line, which is front of the face, meets the side, side of the cheek, and you can take that line all the way down to the pit of the neck. That's where the collarbone is. So, but the head is not a just an egg shape. Okay, actually, the cranium is wider on the top, and it's more narrow on the bottom. So, so you can add a little bit of the width of the cranium. You can almost throw a sphere in here. Okay, and then the next thing I would do is I will put some guideline to kind of indicate where my feature is going to be placed. And the first thing I would do is that somewhere in the halfway of this head, okay, about right here. And the other thing you can do too, the ear is going to sit roughly about in the middle of the head. And so when you start exploring different view of the head, you can actually start by placing that ear somewhere in the middle to help you to, again, help you to know where that jawbone is. And for example, if I'm gonna do let's say, a looking from above view, by knowing where that ear is, somewhere in the like I said, somewhere in the middle of the head. it kind of helps to set that whole, help to set that whole structure of the head down, pretty nice, pretty nicely. And also, if you would do it like let's just say maybe let's see if we're looking from, let's see if we're looking from below the head. I can also kind of roughly indicate where the ears are, and then I can also kind of block in the rest of the features. Okay, but so we can put, for front view, we can actually put the ear somewhere in the middle. Like this. Okay. So here, the halfway of this head is going to be our eye line. Okay, so we can put a line through horizontally to indicate the eye line, and then slightly above it is going to be our eyebrow lines. And then halfway between the eyebrow to the chin, so right here will be our nose. And when I draw, I tend to like to draw my guideline a little bit longer than too short. So you can notice all these I'm gonna brings it out pretty far instead of drawing the little tiny line to indicate a nose. I wanted to draw it longer. So the reason why is if I need to trim, I still allow me to trim. So a lot of time what happen if you draw a shorter guidelines, it tends to squeeze everything within that distance. Sometimes I make the proportion too short. So it visually allow you to have more room to cut back if you need to. Okay, so that's that's eyebrow, that's the eye line, that's the nose, this is the chin, and I already put this. This is the earlier I said this is where the cheek line goes into your somewhere in the center of the ear. That also indicates the zygomatic arch, which the cheekbones, which is this guy right here. You can see your ear gonna sit right behind that cheekbones. So that's where, and that's what this line you can see. And which later, when there's a muscle from that zygomatic arch attached to the corner, corner of the mouth, and that pretty much kind of shows that that edge. This line right here where the front meets the side. Okay, so that's also a good rhythms and gestures, to the head. Cause everything feel like all connected. Feel like there's a water splash, kind of splash out this way, like this. Okay, and next thing I would do is here I would put if we draw a line down like this, that kind of helps indicate what the temple lines, which is to help divide the front of the forehead to the side of the forehead. Okay, so within this eye lines and the eyebrow line, we can put a curve and an arch through. There actually going to be two arches. One going to go all the way, to the side of the head. Like this, okay. And we'll get to the second arch when we get into a little more on the feature of the head. So Now I'll make sure I get all blocking all the major plane. Here again, here's the front of the forehead, here's the side. Now you can kind of see where the front of the face and also where the side of the cheek. For male, the neck is about same width as the face, and this is the trapezius. And again, that's the gesture line, or the rhythm comes from the ear all the way down to the pit of the neck. So let me show you guys how to define the placement of the eyes. Okay, so right where the eyebrow line intersect the center lines, which this section we call the keystones. Okay, matter of fact, this section, the T section is most complex, where the eye, how the eye fits into the eye socket and the nose bridge stick out, and then all this construction going on, within this area. It's a little bit complex. So, but first of all, let's think of it graphically. So just think how can we drop those eyeball in the right positions or right placements. So here again, this is our eyebrow lines. So here is that keystones right between the eyebrow. Looks like you can see it looks like a V shape or some type of a razor blade shape right between the eyebrow. So what happened? This shape, if we look at this shape three-dimensionally, so this is what I just drew. So there's a thickness to it. So let's build that in there. And I'm gonna swing out like this. When I swing out, we can kind of get a sense of the eye socket, even the side of the side plane of the nose. That's where the side plane of the nose is gonna kind of come down from from here, where the tear dot is gonna be set. Okay. So earlier I said this is we're gonna have a second arch. So the first arch, if we kind of take it and connect to what we drew from this eyebrow line, we can kind of get a box like this. Right here. Matter of fact, that box it's gonna help indicate our temporal plane. This plane right here. You can actually see there's a temporal line coming. Temporal lines right at this edge right here. So this is where that. The side of the forehead. Okay. So, one thing I forgot to mention, the hairlines. So if you take that third distance and the chin to the nose to the eyebrow, you take that same distance up, somewhere in here is going to be our hairlines. So again, these are going to be equal third proportion. The hair to the eyebrow to the nose to the chin, they should be equal third. And a lot of the time you will see the hair, you can kind of see it from mine, you can see the hair, the side of the hair is going to sit right at that side plane of the forehead, and you're going to tuck back and then go right to in front of the ear. So sometimes the hair will coming right here and go down, the sideburn will come down to the ear. Okay, so okay. Let's go back to this area again. So this again is the keystone. This is the depth of the keystone. And right here, like I said, I'm going to apply a second arch down like this. Okay, so graphically, think about you taking a piece of strip of paper and you twist it. So you take a strip of paper and you twist it. This is kind of the idea, okay? So you got this part which is sitting in the back, and then this portion is coming forward, and that portion is the skin that wraps around within your socket right here. That's why a lot of time you look at those boxers or fighters, because this serves as corner, and you get punched. Usually this part that easier to get cut, and this is what this portion is. So you actually tucks in like this. It kind of tucks in, and that's what that. It's gonna continue to that first visor, the R shape that I drew, that gonna continue goes around like this. And like I said, this top visor, the arch goes all the way to the side of the head. And this arch come down shorter, so you leave about some distance that to from this arch to the to the contour of the head. So I'm gonna do this again. So here, I'm gonna twist, or you can bring this line and swing over too. Okay. Okay. You notice I keep that little bell section quite straight. Okay, matter of fact, again, this is our eyebrow line. See, the tricky thing with an eyebrow is you probably have seen sometimes the eyebrows, everybody have different type of eyebrow. Some eyebrow can go all the way hook, looks like a large hook that hook up and comes down. So sometimes that can get a little bit confused. It's like, should I aim for the top corners, or especially when you start doing expressions, and how am I gonna make sure the eyebrow aligns? See, this is the things. Here again, this is our base. That's still our eyebrow line. Okay, imagine that's gonna where your eyebrows start from. Right? Doesn't matter how your eyebrow shape looks like. Some people might just sit right over on this eyebrow line. That looks like this. Some, like I said, you might go, it might go up and come back down. But keep in mind, keep that base there. So so that will help. That will kind of helps you not getting the eyebrow kind of over the place on the face. It's a kind of a safe safe guideline. Okay, so. Again, here's my keystone, and this is something you can extend the jar a little bit. So you can actually also see a relationship if you take the width of the width of the nose, which the width of the nose is also roughly about the width of the eyes. Okay, now you can see here our eyeball going to drop into this hole right here. So how do I know? Well, we know where the outside of our eyes, the eyeball is going to stop. It's going to stop somewhere right here. That's when I'm create this hole right here, the eye socket. So how do I know where the tear dot begins? Where's the beginning of the eyes? So sometimes what I would do is, if you imagine from this intersection where the eyebrow meets the center line, if you draw a 45-degree line down like this, down to the eye line, that will give you where the beginning of tear dot. So what that means is my eyeball is going to sit right somewhere in between this point and this point. And that this 45 degrees leads you to tear dot works great for for other views. Even you can work for 3/4 view. Even 3/4 view, I can start with an egg. We need a little modification to get a little more of the back of the cranium. But if we look at a 3/4 view, I just say I can start with an egg. See, earlier I said that ear kind of helps, knowing where the ear going to be somewhere in the middle of the head. So in this case, like I said, if we draw 3/4 using an egg shape, the ear going to be right at the back of this egg. And earlier I said the ear probably going to be somewhere in the middle, so I can start putting that down somewhere right here. And I know, like I said earlier, that looks a little to have no structures. It's just a round egg. Feels just it's going to roll off my page. I need some strength, to hold that positions. And now I need that jaw bones. Right, so see how very quickly we get a sense of some structures and again a sense of head, but obviously looks like very skewed because I haven't added that sphere in there. And this for 3/4 view eggs is a little too narrow. And like I said, we can put that sphere in there and bring this cranium back a little bit behind the ear. That probably works a little better. And then definitely I still need to have my center line. You see, when I draw that center line through, it's always better to draw through and not just stop at the edges. Drawing through, this is just because in this case, that gonna leads you to where your front of your neck. Again, that pit of the neck. Okay. And then you draw 3/4 view, the back of the neck is a little bit further, a little bit behind than the ear. And keep in mind, the neck, we know that for profile of the neck, even at 3/4 too, the back of the neck sits a lot more higher than the front. Okay, so it's a lot more higher. Again, that's a trapezius comes out. Sometimes I also like to indicate our neck muscle called the sternocleidomastoid muscle coming in origin from behind the ear and connect down to our collarbone. And there's some benefit to it. And when we explore different view, I always show you. It help you to connect the head to the neck and neck to your to your body. Okay. So remember that third idea, which is this one up on the top of the head, is from somewhere at the hairline, right? You have that one, two, third. Maybe it could be a little bit higher. Somewhere right here. So that what you see from the bump, you can see from 3/4 view, you probably can see that bump from the eyebrow. That's our eyebrow line. Right? Draw it too long. Don't make it too short. Draw it way too long. We can come back and trim. That's our eyeball line. And where this plane ends, that's our eye line. It's going to be somewhere just right here. Okay. So earlier, I usually when I sort of 3/4 view, I was to again finding on my placement on my eyes. I always start from the further side first because this is a shorter distance for me to measure from. So I come back from here. This is my eyebrow. You probably will see the eyeball come in and it's gonna kick into that keystone to look at this distance. Okay. So this whole, you can almost relate this whole as a one gesture. The outside eye socket to keystone to the to the nose. Okay. So here's the thing. Like I said, one thing you have to be aware of when you're drawing 3/4 view is how much front of the face versus how much side of your, of your cheek or your side plane of your head. So this, what I'll do is, earlier I said we can take this eyebrow line, intersect the center line, we somewhere right here, and then we draw a 45-degree line down to our eye lines. Remember, that's where our teeter dot is going to be. And in this case, and then we have to find the outside of our sockets, stop. Like I said, you can either draw that. We can draw that visor shape, or we can come here and swing over, or to get a sense of. Remember, we can keep this a little bit straight and then come back, or you can kind of get a sense of where that box is, kind of parallel. All these lines going to be roughly kind of parallel to to each other. You get this kind of parallel boxes kind of sits in here. Okay. So here this becomes the corner, right? The corner of front of the head meets the side of the head. And earlier also from this point, well, like from the last page, I show a line through the ear down to our chin, so we can still use this. So get a sense of where the cheek structures. So here's the tear dot, and here's the. Remember that arch? See this arch? Okay. So a lot of time you kind of notice on the further eyes, you're actually gonna get sometimes, like I said, you see eyebrow that will rise up and actually gonna wrap around. You're gonna get almost like you see additional plane comes in here and it kind of wraps down towards the lower part of the eyeball. So it's not just a two plane. It's actually there's additional plane. It comes over and then it's gonna kicks out. Of your cheekbones. And comes back in. And now we get to the lower part where the mouth placement of the mouth. Okay. So here is kind of tucks in. We're gonna make this a little bit darker. So all this should be darker because it's in shadows. So here's the nose. Here's a tear dot. The corner of the eye will lines up to the wing of the nose. And now if we take the center of the eyes and then we draw a line through like this, above and below. What it does a couple of things for us. First of all, when it goes above, it actually creates additional plane, which what you have here, it's the front plane of our forehead to the corner plane of our forehead, then to the side plane of our forehead. So instead you had this kind of broad forehead, which is just a wide front forehead, and it just could jump right to the side. Now we got some additional plane, which now you can turn it quicker, and then it goes to the side. So now we got a corner plane, and now we have a front plane. That's actually how the head is. Otherwise, you can end up looks like you have a very wide forehead like that. So actually, the forehead turns quicker, quicker than you think. See how quickly it turns? Versus you go all the way out here, okay? So they give us additional plane. Now we got corner plane. So what happened is, if you take that actually is going to start doing this. So the widest point of the head which is going to be right here. You're going to set up 5 eyes wide. So you have 1 eye on each side for your cheekbone, and then you have the eye itself, and then you have another eyes in between the eyes. So you have total about 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 eyes wide. Here again is the cheekbone that goes towards. It goes swing down towards the nose. That's actually what the initial sphere that I drew. And if we take that line, towards the bottom, that also gives us the width of our mouth. Okay, so one thing you want to know: the mouth sits in over a barrel. There's an arch, so it's so you can get a sense of where the teeth underneath. And the 1/3 between the nose to the chin. 1, 2. About 1/3. Sometimes what you can find using this little channel right underneath the nose, called the philtrum. You can use that to see where the top of lips are, where the top of lips is. So you can, or you just use this 1/3. The trick is, if you want draw a more ideal person, more better looking persons, you want to have a little more space for the chin. Instead, you don't have, instead you have this very short chin. So if we're gonna screw up, I still rather to have a longer chin. So here's gonna be the corner of my lips. And you want to, for the crease between the lips, usually you can indicate with a line, but you don't want to draw it flat, straight like this. Otherwise, it's kind of flatten the barrel. So I usually like to kind of arch this way a little bit. And most of the time, the light source is above us, so the upper lips will be a little bit darker, and the lower lips usually a little bit lighter. And often you get this dimple right below the lower lips, and that usually are lost in shadows. And that helps, so when you put that shadow in here, it kind of helps to push out that lower lips. Let me step back and look at my drawings. Okay, the chin protrudes out, right? You can see it from the side view. The chin protrudes out, and that's why you get this hard edge right here. Because the chin box protrudes out. So it actually sits in front of the jawbone. So you might, sometimes what I'll do is I'll give an overlap using this line here, this guideline here. That's where I want to kind of indicate that it's in front of that jawbone. Earlier I said that neck muscle, the sternocleidoid master muscle, in front of you give you impression of a letter M like this. And sometimes you will see you got the thyroid, the thyroid cartilage kind of comes in here and kind of protrudes out. And it goes to sits onto that collarbone. So let's see. Let me clean up the drawing a little bit here. Let me straighten some of the edges because I just don't like my drawing gets too round. This area you can keep it more gestural, more rounded, but then still you want to make sure you have some angles and straighter lines to, like I said, to solidify the drawings to show there's some structure underneath it. So one thing on the contour, one's important is how the cheekbone that protrudes out. Okay, that kind of give a sense of characters, to the person, and also give a good sense of structures. The cheekbone is the widest point of that cheekbone is going to be somewhere, again, like I said, towards the ear canal, the center of the ear. So what happens a lot of times you will see is you will have this temple line come down. You can swing the temple line down like this. And this kind of kicks out like this. About right there. Temple line. Kicks out about right there. And like I say, the side of the hair can sit over here, and that's gonna go. Like I said, it's gonna swing to. There's actually a couple places you can swing to. It can swing down to our chin, corner of a chin, like this. It can swing to the corner of our lips. If you have more protrusive muscles, like that can also come down to that corner, the corner of the lips. And also you can swing towards the bottom, bottom of the nose. The muzzle, you get a sense of that roundness. The bottom part of the bottom part of the muzzle looks like horseshoe shape. You're actually doing this type of thing. It goes in and swings out. So you got actually an egg shape on the side like this. Again, here, this is that philtrum I mentioned earlier. It looks like a little channel. Goes in. And a lot of times you see the ferrule, this line coming out from the side of the wing of the nose. I haven't get to the much of a nose. So basically, the nose it's a bridge. Obviously, it's a triangle. You saw earlier. I didn't talk about it, but you saw I kind of draw a triangle shape from that point down. To indicate the shape of the nose. Okay, so the nose is a it's a continuous gesture towards that keystone. Okay, again, you see how. That's why I say this section is a little kind of complicated. But here is my keystone right here. That's where the keystone ends. Okay, so hopefully this can show a little better. So this remember this that what that the thickness is right here. See how that's gonna come down to the base of our eyes, right here, come down to the base of eyes, and this portion right here at the top. That's why you saw it kind of curves down, which is gonna swings down like this, and often again here it's gonna be quite dark. Our nose is going to be a continuous gesture coming out from this top edge right here. Is going to connect to the top edge of our nose. The nose begins narrow and come down wider, right? So again, you see, edge of nose, this goes up to the top edge of the keystone, and you're going to swing down to the eye socket. The bottom of the nose, again, for now, I'm just thinking of the end of the box like this. And then we modify that later. See that point, with the base of keystone, is also going to be a continue line for the base of the nose. So if you take this edge and brings it down, so it give you the base of the nose that attached onto the face. Again, front forehead corner side. Let me use a black charcoal to show front. So only lasts about this much. And this is actually going to go over to your, to the top of your cranium. Corner, side. The other thing, you notice the eyebrow lines out to the top of the ear, right? The bottom of the nose lined out roughly to bottom of the ear. When you draw that ear, make sure draw it in an angle. It doesn't matter for which view. Profile can be a profile. Don't draw it straight. Make sure I always like to draw in an angle that kind of echo to this, this idea. Because that triangle. I'm always shooting for a triangle and diagonal relationships. Gonna set it back. Here's the ear canal. Just again, the zygomatic arch bone goes in. Okay, usually, one thing I usually like to do is where that earlobe. I want to make sure that earlobe has its own identity. What that means, that's a part. Important design and drawing is making sure. There's certain area you want to have its own identity. Certain area you might want to lose it. For example, like I feel like if I kind of blends the earlobe into my face without without giving its own kind of identity, I feel kind of losing the character and make the whole silhouette less interesting. Okay, I see silhouettes first. So all the little negative space or positive space makes a big difference. Imagine if I fill in this negative space, you're gonna lose the top part of that ear, and just everything gonna be a blot, and that probably would not look good. So you want to make sure you want to clarify that. But I guess not everywhere. Some area you do want it to make it loose. Lost keep a soft edge, lost, kind of set it back in the picture. Some area you want to come forward. either for perspective purpose or for design. In this case, just a silhouette for design or silhouette, give more character to the drawing. In this case, also you want to show that identity. So here at about a third of the nose, 1, 2, 3, a third of the nose. Okay, that's where your basically the tip of the nose. You got the ball of the nose and you had the wing. The ball of the nose is going to sit highest, and the wing going to drop down beside it. So the ball of the nose, besides sits in the front, it also sits in the bottom, also partially on the side. See how you come down to the bottom, kind of run right into the philtrum, kind of run oppositely. This is the V, and this kind of comes out in reverse, that philtrum. And then the wing of nose, it just looks like a shingle on the rooftop, which is going to curve right beside the ball of the nose. So you have the top, you have the side, and then you have the top of the wing, and then the side of the wing. And right above the ball of the nose, you got this kind of like I call it coffin shape. That kind of looks like this. That sits at where the the bridge of nose is right here. So you can see that from especially at 3/4. You can see that on the 3/4 view and the shadow from the 3/4 view. That insert into the ball of the nose. The keystone is actually a down plane. Okay, that's what right here. This is this down plane right here. And making sure, other thing you want to remember is the end of the keystone has to be higher than your eye lines. Okay, you don't bring that down to your eye line. That has to sit and higher than the eye lines. So what happened is you can kind of see, obviously the base of the nose is not going to be that straight. It looks too geometric. It's going to flares out. This part is going to kind of flares out like this, and which give a good sense of that wrapping around this eyeball. Everything around the eyeball is for protection, purpose. The eyelashes, eyebrows, all that. The bones around it. So it comes around like this, and and that's your cheekbones, lined out to your cheekbones. So this gonna flares out, and now she's gonna come back and meet the side of the nose. And then the lines are gonna come right. It's kind of following this curve right here. The following that stair step of the ball of the nose, and coming off on the wing of the nose, kind of comes out from that. that can help to protrude out the whole muzzle too. Obviously, when you put that so deep like this, make it kind of age the person. So you wanted to, make sure when I draw often when I draw when I draw female models, you might not want it to indicate that. Even if when I see it, I still kind of keep that down. So I just feel like the skin's sagging and doesn't quite look attractive. Okay. Okay. So we can start seeing this head start develop. You're probably kind of waiting for me to do something with those eyeballs and. But now, at least what I can show you is now I know where my eyeball is. All I need to do is basically draw my eyelid over. Again, here's my wing of nose that can align to my tear duct. So what I'm just doing, I'm actually just indicate, or no, I'm not fully rendering, I'm just going to indicate some dark and light patterns to kind of brings out the eye in some way more tonally. So I can add some a little bit dark shadow here, and it goes right into my dark pupil, which is the darkest. I'm going to give a little gradations because the bottom of the iris can reflect some of the light from below. All right, some dark shadow on the lateral side of the eye. And see this portion, that's the arch from the eye socket. A lot of times it creates a nice deep crease and help to push out the eyeball. Top plane, the lower eyelid, and then the bottom of lower eyelid. My white charcoal. So one thing, like I said, I don't want to get into much with the rendering. One thing you guys have to keep in mind is that the lower eyelid sits on the face. Right? The lower eyelid sits on the face, the upper eyelid wrap over the eyeball. And you can see, well, here again, here's the upper eyelid kind of wrap around the eyeball, and the lower eyelid, since you have to sit on that cheek plane, right? And then you saw this shape right here, the cheek plane, kind of like the socket from the skull. You notice the outside also. You also can see this this corner right here. See how the outer lower corner drop down, drop down, almost it looks like 45 degrees, angle also from that center point from the keystone. So you have this almost looks like the the Top Gun, the Ray-Ban sunglasses kind of looks like this. So that means this is where the apex. This is where the the furthest point of that cheek plane. So that means the lower eyelid has to show somewhat. You see how there's a plane here. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to make 1 and make a 2 right here. So going to be 1 going to be a little longer, and 2 going to be a little shorter, and there's an apex right here. So you help to show it sits on that plane of the cheek. Okay, so this is a kind of a brief, introduction of a planar breakdown of the head, and later on we can go more in depth with this, and later I will show you and how to take this into a different perspective and different angle viewing. But it's important to to able to kind of remember. Hopefully you can practice, memorize this, and that will really allow you. That will really allow you to imagine in head and draw that out of your imaginations and turn it as a likeness. And we're also going to talk about that. Down to later chapters. The likeness is just basically to be aware to observe the shapes of what you see from the model and apply onto this this mannequin on the head, and that you can get a likeness just by still depends on this this plane and structure of the head. Okay.